the 4 strategies that we teach our own students to prepare for the Casper test. And this is really important because a lot of students over the past couple of weeks have been emailing us about, asking us about different strategies to prepare for the test, because so far in the videos that you've been watching, we've been talking about the things you should avoid doing and the things that constitute the common myths around preparation. So naturally, a lot of students now want to know how to prepare for the test. Now, briefly, before I get into these specific strategies, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Behrouz Momeni. I'm the CEO and founder here at BMO, where we help students with admissions to highly competitive graduate and professional programs. For example, we help a lot of students prepare for their Casper test every year, regardless of the type of program they have to apply to, whether it's medicine, nursing, pharmacy, teacher's education, or whatever it is. We get a lot of students that want our help preparing them for the Casper test. And normally students seek our help because they want to make sure that they put their best foot forward the first time, or because they've been rejected in the past and they want to make sure they don't make the same mistakes again. So what are those 4 strategies that we teach our own students here at BMO? Well, the first one is pretty standard, which is you have to make sure that you practice using realistic simulations rather than just reading some random questions online. So what do I mean by realistic simulations? I mean making sure that you have access to online practice tests that mimic the actual test as closely as possible. The advantage of this is twofold. One, when you go through a realistic simulation, you will get over the fear of the unknown because you have pretty much already gone through the testing process. Secondly, your brain will start to form patterns and realize that there's a pattern to Casper questions. Although it's impossible for you to predict the exact questions you're going to get on your test, but you will eventually start to realize that there are different types of questions for Casper. And when you learn how to identify them and have a strategy for each different type of question, you're highly likely to be able to ace any type of scenario or question you see on the actual test. In fact, we have identified 20 or so different types of questions that we teach our own students here at BMO during the course of our paid training programs. So that's the first sort of strategy to prepare for the test. The second strategy is once you've written a practice test, you have to seek expert feedback. What do I mean by expert feedback? Well, this has to be someone who is knowledgeable and mature and is perhaps a practicing professional, or it's someone who is at least got an education level at the PhD level or above. This is going to allow you to get feedback from someone who could tell you where you're doing poorly and how to do better. Also, they will also going to be able to tell you where you've done well, and you should continue doing whatever you've done well more and more as you prepare for a Casper test. So these first 2 steps, simulations plus expert feedback, you have to continue doing this until you get to a stage where your coach or mentor is going to tell you that, hey, you're now ready to go and write your actual test, because it does take multiple practice tests followed by expert feedback to get better over time. Furthermore, I should say, when it comes to expert feedback, you want to avoid the help of family and friends, because as much as they want the best for you, normally they cannot provide you with objective feedback, because of course they don't want to hurt your feeling. But in this case, you really need someone who provides you with objective feedback. So ask someone who is a practicing professional, or maybe a university professor, or someone who could actually help you out. So those were the 2 first preparation strategies. The third one is you have to know any sort of relevant news about your profession, or your future profession, I should say, inside and out. So you need to know what's happening in the profession. Is there any sort of relevant news that's important and is being talked about amongst professionals within the field that you're going to pursue in the future, just in case the Casper test asks you for specific knowledge of such current events. You need to have sort of an understanding of such events, because as a result, you're more likely to be able to come up with appropriate responses for any type of questions that relate to such events. Now, the next one, and the fourth sort of strategy that you have to employ when you're preparing for Casper in advance, is you have to spend some time self-reflecting on your past experiences. because some of the questions on Casper actually ask you about your past experiences. Although these are not common, they do happen from time to time, and you don't want to be caught off guard. For example, sometimes a question might ask, describe a time when you came into a conflict with a superior and how did you deal with this? This requires you to be able to have a specific example from the past, and when you do and you have that right already in the back of your head, you're more likely to also provide a comprehensive and appropriate response to that type of a question related to any past experiences. So those were the 4 strategies I wanted to share with you, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. If you did, go ahead and share it with someone else who may enjoy it as well. Make sure you subscribe to any social media channel you're watching this, so that you don't miss any of our next preparation and strategy videos that we're gonna be creating for you. And of course, if you have any questions for us, include it in the comment section below, and we're gonna get back to all your questions as soon as we can. That was it for me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you soon.